With the Labor Party, forget who you elect to office. It's the factions that wield the real power. In Canberra, the factions choose who sits in the Prime Minister's cabinet. Not Anthony Albanese, the factions choose. In Victoria, stitching together factional deals is how Daniel Andrews operates.
Firefighters face adversity every day. And one thing I don't like is trying to be stood over by a politician to begin with, by anyone. You have to ask the question which I've asked and I'm still struggling with. Why did you do this? Was it a factional deal?
Do you think Daniel Andrews is the sort of guy that would do a factional deal, but...
Oh, look, this is a factional deal. Let's cut the rubbish. This is some payback to someone else in his faction. It just doesn't add up.
So that means the blood price is firefighters?
Absolutely.
I think the Labor Party has been transformed by him into a sort of a personal fiefdom. It's almost out of Animal Farm. You know, you really can't recognise the Labor Party of the past from the one that's currently there now.
If Bob Hawke was back in his Victorian seat of wills, would he recognise Victorian Labor today?
It's unrecognisable. He wouldn't recognise it. And there are lots of people who feel the same way, particularly at a federal Labor level, but they're not in a position to be able to do anything about it.
In Victoria, there was a saying, the only thing Daniel Andrews didn't control was the Labor Party. For years, he'd been a factional warrior of the socialist left. To get ahead, he knew he had to get runs on the board for his faction. But standing in his way wasn't the Liberal Party. It was more personal than that. It was his own side. It was the right faction of Labor and their power broker, Adem Somyurek.
Just after 9 a.m. this morning, I met with Adem Somyurek and I informed him that I would be writing to the Governor to terminate his commission as a minister, to essentially sack him from my ministry.
Adem Somyurek from the factional right has been butting heads with Andrews from the left for years.
No one considered him to be a leadership material. He just got there because of a factional deal stitched up on the organisational wing.
Inside Victorian Labor, Somyurek often stood in Andrews' way until he was caught red-handed in a sting that wiped him out and concentrated even more power in the hands of the Premier.
But the way I see it working now is that you're going to do the grunt work.
These pictures were the undoing of Somyurek. They allege the orchestrated use of taxpayer staff to do factional work for Labor.
They'll go from not being factional to they understand they're in a faction. That's the whole system.
These images are what prompted the suspension of voting rights for members and the appointment of administrators to run Victorian Labor. Somyurek was thrown out of the ALP. And when that happened, he chose to speak up about the infamous red shirt scandal, where taxpayer staff helped get Daniel Andrews elected.
I'm the most scrutinised politician in Australia. This has never happened before. Two integrity bodies have gone through my life with a fine-tooth comb.
Is this what now passes for justice in Victoria? That Labor MPs can simply refuse to cooperate with the police investigation and that's the end of it? Adem Somyurek admits he broke the law. He says he wanted the police to interview him and sensationally says what happened to him was a setup to weaken Labor's right faction and strengthen the power of the Premier. You say that Labor MPs were instructed not to talk to the police.
Yes, we were advised not to talk to the police. I mean, when you're talking to an MP, you can't really instruct, but we were advised strongly to do a no comment. No, if they come and grab you, do a no comment interview.